Hello and welcome to Envision. I'm Deanne Conrad. Dr. Brian Maher is our superintendent. We've been very deep into the conversation about how much will our community support, how many dollars per month would our community support in terms of trying to accommodate the increasing enrollment, take care of some of our facilities that have been around a long time and that we still want to maintain. And it's a very complicated process that I'm sure if anybody wanted to know more detail, we'd send them down to Todd Veek, our business manager. But it boils down to what the school district has come up with, really boils down to a pretty reasonable cost per homeowner. Tell us a little bit about how the district got to that point.
Well, I think it's reasonable. Our voters will decide in September as to whether or not, as a community, we think it's reasonable or not. Well, typical me, I'm going to tell a little story before I get into how did we come up with this as the funding mechanism. My wife and I, Peg and I, moved here 3 years ago from Nebraska. So 3 years ago in June, and when we moved here, we looked at several different houses, and those were our solution. Our solution for moving here, we had to have a place to live.
For needing a place to live, yes.
And we clearly looked at how much money did we have to put down, what was our monthly payment going to be. Ultimately is what we decided on. We're willing to spend this amount for this house. Really, if you take that now and you think about that same mindset, that's where we are now as a community. And we look at the solutions that are on the table, and you know those at this point. It's a new high school, a new middle school, a new elementary school. There's a commitment to the Whittier land down the road. There are some equity issues and a real nice price tag for all those issues. So it's hard for me to wrap my mind around what is 150 million, what is 190 million, what is 200 million. But it's easy for me to wrap my mind around what will that solution cost me. And so that's what we're really focused on, is what's the individual cost to me, the homeowner, in this scenario. So when I think of all of the homes in Sioux Falls in the school district, you know, there are thousands. So it depends on the value of your home as to how much it's going to cost you. So I put my focus on the median priced home. For those of you who don't remember your statistics, median's right in the middle.
Right.
That means half of the houses are going to have
more expensive.
Less expense, half the houses are going to have more expense than this.
Right.
So if I look at that amount, or the amount for that median household, what's it going to cost? And the answer is, for all of those things I described, high school, middle school, elementary school, and a lot of other stuff, $2 a month. So is that a reasonable cost or not? Clearly the task force thought so, the Board of Education thinks so, as the superintendent, I hope so. As a community, we'll decide whether or not that is or not. And really, if you want to break it down even further, if you figure out the value of your home, let's say your home is $100,000. It's about $1.07 a month. Let's say your home is $500,000. What's $1.07 times 5, or $5.35 a month?
Right.
So, you know, $500,000, you probably, I don't know for sure, but you probably have 90% of the homes in the area that for $5 a month or less, you're going to be able to get a new high school, a new middle school, a new elementary school, a commitment to the core of our communities, a community, and really some equity issues for what I hope the community decides is a reasonable expense.
Okay, so that dollar amount, arguably, it seems like a reasonable amount to those of us who've been involved in the plan. But again, the community will decide that in an election. But the point is, in that election, we need participation.
Right.
We've said all along this is a community process, and it needs to be a community solution, not a solution just for one part of town or another part of town, but one that we all either stand behind or decide is not going to float.
Right. One of the nice things I like about the solution is that it'll have an impact on all of our elementary schools. It'll have an impact on all of our middle schools, and it will have an impact on all of our high schools. So this is a solution. While your particular building, you may not see improvements, and maybe you will, maybe you won't, but your building will be impacted because we have another building in that grade level. And
Right.
we'll be able to make sure that we keep the right amount of kids in buildings across the district. So
And that
we
was-
really think it'll have a large impact in all of our buildings.
Right, and that was key and important to the task force members, is that we continue to maintain 24.3 to 1 average in our classrooms, that our teachers have a good quality of an atmosphere in which to teach in,
Right.
and those types of things were very important.
We want to make sure that your student, that the quality of your student's education isn't dictated by the brick and mortar of the building that they attend. We want to make sure that all of our buildings are in great repair if they're existing buildings, or will be model buildings of the future if they're going to be brand new buildings.
And if there are brand new buildings, you'll probably see much of the same of what we've had before in terms of look and style, not anticipating any far out new age design or anything like that.
I think one of the things that happened in 1997, the last time we ran a bond issue in the school district, was that there was equity provided across the district, whether you were at an elementary school, a middle school, or a high school. We want to continue to extend that vision that happened by that group of folks back in 1997. They had the sense of prophecy to know the quality of your building shouldn't be dictated by the zip code that you live in. We want to make sure that that continues for a good long time.
Right. So, again, a solution that brings us to the median home owner of about $182,000, $185,000 would be about $26, $24 a year.
Yeah.
So there's lots of information out there for you to find the price of your home and what the tax implication would be, and then bring your thoughts to the polls with you in September, and we certainly want to hear from our community on this topic. Thanks for joining us today on Envision.